This movie is great. It's like taking a time machine back to the moment where the world started to unravel. Everything became a bit less real, and the computers began taking over our lives. I just rewatched The Social Network, and I want to talk about it. The Social Network is maybe the most simple premise we've had so far. It follows Mark Zuckerberg and the creation of Facebook, which he started when he was a student at Harvard. The film flashes back to the creation of Facebook by using two legal depositions as structure points. We learn key information or acquisitions there, then flash back to Harvard to see the moments unfold. One deposition shows Zuckerberg's sacrificed friendship with co-founder Eduardo Saverin, and the other is with the Winklevoss twins, who Zuckerberg was going to partner with, but then he expanded on their idea and was careful not to use any of their code, according to him. This film is an exploration of the cost of success. Does it have to cost your soul, your friendships, your reputation? Or does it bring out jealousy of those around you? Zuckerberg did ultimately help connect the world when he launched this platform, but he severed a lot of ties in his own life. Big cast here, so I'm going to try to speed run it a bit. First off, Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg. No one can quite play a neurotic outcast like our friend Jesse Eisenberg, in part because it doesn't seem to stretch him too far from his real self. He's got the computer speak down in this. He's calculated. He's always playing the angle. He's defensive and insecure. And he's not sorry for his actions. And therefore, we, the viewers, don't feel obligated to feel sorry for him or to even root for him. Andrew Garfield plays Eduardo, and he's the human element in this film. A lot of the Harvard students seem to lack a humanity. The Winklevosses care about honor, but it's just because it's what's expected of them. Eduardo is warm and sincere. He's a friend to Zuckerberg when he had no others. And when he's ultimately betrayed by his friend, the pain is palpable. Justin Timberlake is Sean Parker, another tech mogul who is charismatic and self-absorbed. I'm not the biggest Timberlake fan, so it works for me that he plays an unlikable character in this. He's like the snake tempting Eve in his interactions with Mark. He cares about money, prestige, access, girls, and the ego that another internet success will give him. Armie Hammer plays both Winklevoss twins. They are jocks with silver spoons to boot, and I can see why they might feel entitled to some compensation, but ultimately, I didn't care if they got the money or not. Their betrayal doesn't carry the same weight as Eduardo's did. Rooney Mara needs a quick mention here. She, as Erica Albright, breaks up with Mark Zuckerberg, fueling his anger and hate and genius. He creates Face Mash in retaliation, which ultimately leads to Facebook, but it's just so satisfying for her to call Mark out. She left an impression in her short time on screen, and at the end of the film, she's still on Mark's mind. All-star cast, all-star crew as well for The Social Network. We have David Fincher directing, of course, world-renowned for projects like Seven and Fight Club. Cinematographer Jeff Cronwith worked with Fincher on Gone Girl and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Fight Club, so there's obviously some shorthand between them. Then we have one of the best pens in the game, Aaron Sorkin, writing this film. I'm in the middle of watching The West Wing right now, so that's why I decided to watch The Social Network the other night. I wanted a Sorkin movie, and for me, it's either this or Moneyball. But I also want to say that I think The Newsroom is his best work. But still, in this film, you get that Sorkin, sharp, intellectual dialogue. It keeps you on your toes and paying attention because there isn't a word wasted. The color palette of this film is super controlled, muted blues and browns. It's very sterile. I think it lends to the cold, calculated nature of Zuckerberg and just business in general. You've heard 1,000 times in your life, it's not personal, it's just business. To me, the colors in this movie work to illustrate that perfectly. I think the blocking and positioning of the characters is super interesting too. No one touches, or if they do, it's a rare occurrence. They're like fighters in their own corners. They're battling with words and concepts and allegations. It's all mental, and the space between them keeps that top of mind. The depositions are actual battles and a great device to roll out information and show the effects of decisions made years later. The biggest contrast visually in this movie comes during the regatta scene in England. It's an old money, traditional context scene. It contrasts with the cutting edge side of tech and its version of callousness. And to this day, I can't for the life of me figure out why the person playing Prince Albert doesn't have an English accent. The last All-Stars are Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, more frequent Fincher collaborators, but this soundtrack is dark and electronic. Its minimalism is very unnerving at times, which is perfect for the direction of this film. And then ultimately rewatching it now, the unnerving aspects work with how all-encompassing these social media platforms have become, the grip they have on the human race. The soundtrack fits like a glove. And I didn't love what Reznor did for Challengers. That one annoying theme played too loud at odd times, but this made me remember to appreciate him. The frame that sums up the film quite nicely is this shot of Mark working alone on his computer to code the Facebook site. I mean, this film is about this project, about this person's drive and vision to create this platform. His work on this computer changed the world. It also alludes to the shift we all collectively made toward our computers after this time period, where YouTube and Google and Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest all came out in short succession. We shifted mainly from connecting in the real world to connecting online, and it's all a bit ominous, and this shot marks the genesis of that major societal shift. He's building the structure most of us feel tethered to still 20 years later, and now we're fooling around with AI. Great. The theme that rings clearest is the price of unadulterated ambition. Mark comes off as very self-absorbed and deceitful at times. He gives Eduardo 30% at the ground floor, but as soon as he learns a way to remove that equity, he does, just because his ambition was not fully supported by those around him. He so badly wanted to get into one of the Harvard clubs that when he didn't and Eduardo did, he could not let go. Unchecked ambition for work or some pursuit of greatness always negatively impacts relationships because they don't become the priority and they need nurturing. The idea of ownership and entitlement are also on display. I think it's clear that pieces of this idea belong to the people who are suing Zuckerberg in the film. They get some money, so either the courts agree or, like Rashida Jones, as the lawyer advised, he just paid them to move along. But should the guy who spawned the relationship status idea get a cut? Zuckerberg used his own code, and the chair analogy he shares is perfect. No one owns the idea of a chair, so of course people can make different versions and styles of a chair. The idea, though, once translated to the internet, does become a bit murky. We're going back to Erica, who broke Mark's heart for the symbolism. He sends her a friend request, and we close the movie with him refreshing the screen to see if and when she accepts it. He's still not over it, still longing for a type of connection he's not sure how to attain, even though he's built a platform that is connecting people across the world in that very same moment. Windows and screens and glass are everywhere in this movie. Everything and everyone is visible, just not able to be touched. No real human interaction. That's the nature of the build that's happening, and that's how the movie is framed. It's incredible that Fincher nailed that feeling so perfectly just a few years after Facebook's launch, and I'd really love to see what his version of this movie would look like if he shot it now. If there's anything I missed, I know people love to share their unique takes on themes and symbolism, so drop them in the comments. It's hard to spot everything. This movie wastes absolutely zero time. The pivotal moment is the opening scene. Mark is condescending and unable to see that he's being brash. His girlfriend breaks up with him, and he freaks out and takes it out on every girl at Harvard. The traffic that the site he creates to rank these women draws attention, and from there, the ball starts rolling for Facebook to be invented. There are moments throughout the process that then change the trajectory and the stakes, but this moment sets off his Rube Goldberg machine of internet power struggles. It's also a brilliant introduction into who Mark is and the way he operates. He doesn't grow from this point as a person, which is startling for a lead, but really works in this film. I don't think this is all necessarily based in perfect fact, and the lack of people to connect with emotionally made it feel detached from reality at points. It almost does what it's trying to do too well, in other words. Also, Zuckerberg was not concerned with privacy rights with the first site that he made, and it's been a huge legacy problem of the platform ever since for Facebook. It's not really discussed in any valuable way here in the film, and that could have been interesting. Instead, we just get a look at the business end and the personal relationships ruined. I love this film. Like I said, it's a time machine. And whether we like to admit it or not, this is one of the most monumental inventions in the last 50 years, at least. The full package is on display in the film, though, from performances, music, dialogue, cinematography. The courtroom mechanism is a great way to provide insight and give us a break from the stress of the company being created. It's just all very precise. That wraps it up for The Social Network. Thank you all so much for hanging out. If you're so inclined, check out the Patreon. I have everything set for one low price of $3. Everything you see there, just trying to build that community up. But I appreciate you just hanging out. And if you want to do it again, hit subscribe and we'll see you in the next one.